Field.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of You Have Failed with me, SaiyanVader. Now to start, I suppose I need to apologise that it's been so long since the last episode. Before Christmas I was caught up, I had sort of loads of university deadlines, so I had to get those done. Then obviously over Christmas, after the last year we had, I was just trying to get morale and family spirit up as much as I could, considering certain things that had happened just in general and obviously within the family last year, just trying to really keep things up. And then as Christmas passed, sort of just letting it all simmer down, getting settled into the new year. So I said I'll take a little bit of keep the break going for a bit, just simmer into the new year. And then just as I was about to record last week, it will be last week for you. I'm recording a bit earlier than usual because I finally found a place mentally where I can get this out, so I decided to do it. Got some more bad news, but that's enough about me, my personal life. It's not what you're here for at the moment. But obviously before we get on with the episode proper, I will do the normal thing in saying that Black Lives Matter is still a very important cause to us here at Sigil Arts, and it's gained a lot of traction, I think, again recently, more so than it had in recent months. It seemed to have come back a little bit, but still not enough. So using things such as the hashtag BLM, hashtag Black Lives Matter on social media to keep the conversation going and keep the fight for equality coming forward is definitely needed at the moment. And obviously go to www.blacklivesmatter.com, where you can find out ways to support monetarily and non-monetarily and make sure the conversation keeps happening until we do find equality for everyone. And weirdly enough, the talk of equality and prejudice is actually quite important with the topic that I'm going to talk about today. And I say today as if there's not going to be a bonus episode. I can almost guarantee there'll be a You Have Failed some more on Saturday, because the show that I'm talking about today is TV show. I've fallen in love with it. Literally just completely fallen in love with it. It's without a doubt, I mean, this might spoil the end of the episode whether it's failed or not, but this is without the doubt the best TV show I have ever watched in my life. Yeah, I've got more nostalgia attached to others that I'd probably say are my favourites. In terms of plot, depth and character, this is the best TV show I ever watched in my entire life. I've fallen in love with it so much. And that is Attack on Titan, a Titan in the anime world and just mainstream as well. I think I put off watching it for so long because I don't know why I never watched season 1, but then I found out about the 4-year gap between season 1 and 2, and I was like, I'm not going to start watching a show and then have to wait 4 years between each series. But then when I found out season 4 was coming out this year, I decided, you know what, let's get on it. I saw season 1 was on Netflix, so I thought, you know what, let's give it a try. And I fell in love with it to the point where I then immediately went out and bought the box sets for season 1 through 3 and then binge watched the whole thing, because honestly, I can't get over how incredible it is. And I know I'm going to need a bonus episode to talk about it because I've got so much to talk about. I've got so much to talk about with just some of the characters, let alone the plot and how clever the plot is and the writing is and the music, and oh my god, everything is so good. And I think a good starting place is to say, by the way, spoilers, because I'm currently up to date with the anime and I have dabbled in a bit of the manga as well, because I was that engrossed with it. I couldn't wait. I'm still going to watch the anime, obviously, because it's incredible. But yeah, I've dabbled in some of the manga. I haven't read the whole thing, but I've popped in, so I know roughly what's going on. The main reason is because I had some predictions about what I think. Even from season 1, I was like, this might be going a certain way, and looking at how this is all ending up, I was actually right, which is quite impressive considering I worked that out at season 1, which I think is personally the weakest season. The pacing isn't great in season 1, I will admit. You go from the first to second episode, you've got a 5-year time gap. Then you've got later on in the season 5 episodes spent with them like riding horses through the woods, and it's like not so sure. But the pacing aside, season 1 is very good, very strong, sets up the mystery. Right, let's get on to... I was going to talk about particular characters first, but I'm going to mention this. So the brilliance of episode 1, right, is in the whole basement storyline, right? So obviously that is something that doesn't then get answered till season 3. But subconsciously, from episode 1 itself, you know that, what was I say? Yeah, you know that you're going to be satisfied with the answer, because what they do is, in that first episode, they have two sort of mysteries that then get revealed. So you start with Eren having the dreams and seeing things happening, and that gets paid off in the end of the first episode, and the Titans break down the walls. So that mystery and reward gets shown in the first episode, so you feel confident that, yeah, these guys can pull off that mystery, that you're willing to stick around to find out what is in that basement, which is obviously a big driving force for the show and the first 3 seasons that then leads into the 4th season. As I say, this is going to be major spoilers. I'm not going to say specifically what's in the basement, but when I start talking about season 4 and stuff, and about the prejudice and everything going on, you're going to learn a bit more about the world than you would have done if you're not up to date, especially if you haven't got to season 3 yet. Season 2 is where it really picks up. I think it starts focusing on more of the side characters, and everyone starts becoming a main character. Captain Levi weirdly takes a seat back, but is still as just awesome. Commander Irvin, absolutely fantastic. Obviously, you learn more about Berthold and Reiner. Obviously, once again, I'm not going to explicitly say why just yet, but it's a big reveal, let's put it that way. And yeah, and obviously even Armin gets a bit of an arc. Mikasa, Hannes, that was fucking awful. That was, yeah, you can understand why Eren got pissed off there. And yeah, you start focusing on them, and then the story gets a lot more intricate. Like at the end of season 1, once again, this is a massive spoiler, when you find out there are fucking Titans inside the walls, like making the walls, and you're like, what the fuck? So mystery starts going again. You find out, obviously, there's now a beast Titan that can talk, and it's clearly another intelligent one. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Titans start moving at night, and you find out Ymir is a Titan. And then season 3, Jesus Christ, you've got the whole first arc where you find out a lot of the secrets. That, yeah, the walls are made of Titans, the royal family, the Titans transforming. I'm trying not to go into it too much whilst also going into it, because I want to encourage you to watch it, but this is very spoiler heavy. So obviously, if you don't care about spoilers, you can obviously keep listening, and then watch it later anyway. But if spoilers are a big thing to you, honestly, thank you so much for listening, but I'd recommend not and catching up with Attack on Titan, then listening, because I don't want to spoil any of this shit for you, because it's brilliant if you do want to watch it and not be spoiled. But yeah, it's so incredible. And then the second arc of season 3 is absolutely fucking fantastic, and that's why originally this section I'm going to do now was going to be about Commander Irvin, actually, and his brilliant speeches, and how, you know, he quickly became one of my favourite characters, probably at the time before season 4 came out, probably second to Captain Levi. But then season 4 came out, and, well, in season 4, Reiner took a massive leap up my lists, definitely in the top 3. But then season 4, episode 5 came out, and obviously that's the most recent one. And then a character who I never would have ever thought would be in my top 3, let alone potentially my favourite character, suddenly became incredible. And that is Eren Jaeger himself, the main character. Now, in season 1 to 3, he's very much sort of the angsty, edgy teen, just angry all the time. I'm going to kill all the Titans. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I had hints that from the very beginning that he was going to go to extreme lengths to achieve his goals, which I'll get to in a minute. I don't want to tread on my own feet with what I want to say about him. And when I say the word rumbling, which was obviously hinted at in episode 5, but then manga spoilers, Eren, nice job. I had a feeling he was going to go. I didn't know that's how he was going to go about achieving his very specific goal that I will get onto in a minute. A very genuine goal, though. It's not evil, but once again, I'm treading on my own feet. I knew he was going to go there, but I didn't realise that's how he was going to do it. But I always thought I still wouldn't like him through it. I would be like, oh, you know, I get why he's doing it. He's a lot of trauma, a lot's gone on in his life, and, you know, he's got this goal that he's clung to since he was a child, his birthright. But almost a birthright. He sees it as almost a birthright anyway. But I didn't expect. I think it's not until season 4 when he's now an adult and all that teen angst and edge is scraped away that you see who he really is. You see his real personality. You see Eren Jaeger for who he really is. And you realise that he is without a doubt, and I never thought I would have said this after watching season 1, 2, and 3, without a doubt, one of the best written characters in all of fiction, right? He's a genius of a character. I can't, he's fantastic. Right, this is where I can start not treading on my feet and get to the point. So he's a character who, as he has said himself in the conversation with Reiner, will keep moving forward. That scene, which was basically the whole episode really, of him having that chat with Reiner in that basement, season 4, episode 5, was incredible, where he basically says to Reiner, like, none of this is personal anymore. I don't want to kill you. I don't hate you. I've got nothing personal against you, but I've got to keep moving forward just like you. And he says to Reiner, he was like, why did you break down those walls all those years ago? And it gets to a point where Reiner admits that it was his own selfish reasons. Yeah, he'd been told to, he'd been done on a mission, he'd been told that was his way to save the world. And that's all well and good. He was trying to save the world, but at the end of the day, after Marcel got eaten, Annie and Berthold tried to turn back and say, no, we're just going to retreat and whatever. Whereas Reiner was that desperate to get some sort of respect, appreciation for his family and for himself, that he went forward with the mission. He basically admitted to Eren, he was like, I'm the reason your mother was eaten by a Titan. And Eren just reacts and goes, yeah, we're the same. And especially because Eren has now been living in Mali for 4 years. He has lived with the people that he plans to kill for 4 years, a bit like Reiner did. He lived on Paradis for years pretending to be a soldier, with these people that he knew he would have to kill to achieve his goal. They're two sides of the same coin, both of them. But Reiner, whilst he was doing it, I suppose, for his own sort of self-preservation, his respect, and obviously it was drilled into him that was how he would save the world, Eren, his motives are different. Once again, at this point, he thinks this is his only way to save his world, but his motive is different, and that's where the two do fall apart, because as Eren says to Falco, the episode before, or a few manga chapters before, it's Falco, yeah. I almost said Flock, but it's not Flock, it is Falco. As he's talking to Falco, he goes, the people who choose to move forward do so because they see something beyond the hell they're in. And Eren even admits himself, he doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know if what he plans on doing will make things better or make things worse. He has no idea, but he sees there is something beyond the hell where he is now, and he is determined to push forward in the hope that it's what he is trying to achieve. And that's where Reiner is the same. Reiner doesn't know if wiping out the people of Paradis will make the world better or worse for himself and his situation, but he hopes it will, so he keeps moving forward through the hell because he can see something. There are two people who keep moving forward. But what is it Eren sees? What is he hopes will be on the other side? Well, for anyone who's watched Attack on Titan, I'm sure you already know this. If you don't, it's one very simple concept. It's freedom. This man, this child, all he's ever wanted was freedom. And that sounds so almost innocent, and to be fair, it is. This was a child who spent his whole life in walls, dreaming of the outside world, being oppressed by Titans, and he just wanted freedom because, well, this is where we now get on to, I think, one of the most important, if not the most important phrases in Attack on Titan, and probably the second most recognisable after Give Your Heart and Soul to the Cause, or Shinzo Wu Sasageyo. Great opening theme tune, by the way. Anyway, it's because I was born into this world. Eren's mindset is that he is entitled to freedom for no other reason than the fact he was born. And to an extent, he's right. I mean, that's the way I look at the world. I feel like everyone is entitled to freedom because they're alive. It doesn't work like that. The world is incredibly flawed, but it's enough about human politics. We're getting back to Attack on Titan, Eren Jaeger, and how incredible his character is. Ever since he was a child, he's wanted more. He's wanted that freedom. He's wanted to be free of the walls. He wanted to explore and see the whole world. That was fueled by his childhood friend Armin, who told him that apparently beyond the walls there were oceans, which were like giant bodies of water with enough salt that you could never get it all out. There was like water that flows like fire. There were sandy, icy plains, and all these things that they'd never seen before, that just seem fake to them because they're trapped. And Eren's yearning for freedom is what's pushed him forward through everything. For no other reason than the fact he was born. Eren, and the very thing that's made very clear, I think, the more you watch it, is that to Eren, freedom and living are the same thing. It's not just a birthright, it is what living is. He was born, therefore he deserves to be free. While he was trapped within the walls, he wasn't living. He wasn't alive. Freedom is what will make him alive. He needs it. It burns within him, and he will do anything to achieve that. Now, that makes him sound one-dimensional, because yes, while saying that he's a man that will do anything to achieve freedom is true, he will do anything for it, but I think that's removing the nuance of it and how incredibly well written he is. Because yes, it's true, but it's not to mean he agrees with what he's doing. His morals aren't so corrupt that he thinks he's the good guy. In fact, he knows what he's doing is horrible. After living on Marley and seeing, or living amongst all the children, men and women that he plans to kill, he really feels a lot of remorse. He knows they're not bad people. Not all Marleyans are bad, not all Eldians are bad. Not, in any race, there's not always good and evil. But he has to do this at this point. He has no other choice at this point. And that's the incredible nuance. That need for freedom and it being the same as life. There's even during the speech when he's having that conversation with Reiner, the bit above where Willy Tybur is giving the speech about how all the other nations of the world should rally against the people of Paradise Island, the Eldians on the island, and wipe out those devils once and for all. Willy even says, because obviously there are Eldians in the other parts of the world as well, and they're treated like cattle over there. Like in Mali, they have to wear special armbands, they live in ghettos. It's very much reminiscent of Nazi Germany and the Jewish population. And Eldians are done like that because of their past crimes, because at one point they were the giant superpower using Titans to oppress everyone else. But after the Great Titan War, the king fled to the islands, taking as many of his subjects with him as he could, and erected the walls around them, renouncing war, leaving them there to die if they had to, as sort of penance for all the past crimes they've done. But the Eldians left in the rest of the world were then subjugated because they were seen as devils because they had the abilities to turn into Titans. But obviously, Marley utilised this by using some of the 9 Titans, which are the special ones you can transform into, like Eren's Attack Titan, and using them to conquer the rest of the world. So Eldians are just seen as bad in general. But as Willy Tybur says, Willy, who is an Eldian, but an Eldian of high status, because he sort of helped to win the Great Titan War and defeat the Eldians at the time. He sort of betrayed them. His family did anyway. He was like, I hate the fact I was born Eldian, and sometimes I wished I was, I was dead, but I don't wish to die because I was born into this world. And he hears that, and Eren's eyes sort of light up because that syncs with him. Eren doesn't, he doesn't want to die. That's a very important phrase. Eren wants to live. Eren wants freedom. That's what I mean. They are the same thing. So even though there's a few chapters later when he's walking through a street and he sees, I think it's a Malian child getting sort of attacked by some older men and really beaten up, Eren initially thinks, oh, I need to save him, but then decides to stop and just walk past. Because in his mind he's thinking, what am I doing? I'm just going to end up killing this child at some point anyway. Why should I pretend to have some corrupt moral justice in my head now? I'm not a hero. And that he knows what he's doing is wrong. And even when, I think after he's been imprisoned for some of his actions he's done like by his colleagues on Paradis because he's taking things too far. He sort of grabs Hanji by the collars and he's like, look, if there's another way, tell me. Like, fucking tell me if there's another way to do this, because I can't see another way for us to survive this. And that's where I get to the fact that by this point, Marley has rallied the rest of the nations of the world saying, look, yep, years ago, the king, he swore off violence, meaning as long as the founding titan was passed through the royal family, the people of Paradis could never fight back. But then Eren's father ended up stealing the founding titan, and now Eren has it, which means he could initiate the rumbling at any point, which is releasing all the colossal titans from within the walls to go and trample the rest of the world, wiping out the rest of life on the planet outside of the walls. And so Willie's now sort of, and Marley are rallying the rest of the world saying, we need to take down Paradis now. We need to kill them. We need to get rid of them. And this is where Eren's great moral dilemma comes into play. Eren Jaeger has a choice to make. And it's so hard because all his life he fought for freedom. No matter who or what stood in his way, he fought for freedom, his own freedom, which he believed he deserved, which in fairness he did. The rest of the world painted him as a villain for no other reason than the fact that he fought to be free. He didn't want to hurt anyone. He did not want, and at that point he hadn't. He hadn't killed anyone. He hadn't hurt anyone. He hadn't committed any crimes. He just wanted freedom, and he fought against the people trying to oppress him. But because he did that, the rest of the world said that he would use the rumbling to wipe them all out. They forced his hand. He has no choice at this point. The rest of the world believe that he will do this. Therefore, they will try to kill him and everyone and everything he cares about by wiping out Paradis once and for all. So Eren is now stuck with a choice. And I saw this in a YouTube video, and it was the best way I saw this put. Eren Jaeger has to choose between his life or his soul, and he chose to live. Now that is an impossible choice because Eren has he's forced into a corner. Once again, he is forced into a cage, just like he has been his whole life, and he's got to choose between letting Marley and the forces of the rest of the world kill him, all his friends and family, and destroy his home. Well, I say family as if all his family aren't already killed. So, kill all his friends and destroy his home and let that happen, or wipe out the rest of the world to ensure his and his friends' safety. Now, and the most intense thing about this is Eren himself admits that either going through with Zeke's plan, which is to euthanize all Eldians, making sure they're not a threat, they can't have babies anymore, and it just ends it peacefully, or letting the rest of the world trample Paradis and kill them all, he admits that that is the easiest and statistically the best option, because that is the least amount of death possible. Just wiping out the population of the island, which isn't many at this point after the Titan attacks. Just do that. And he admits that that is statistically just the best way. Let it happen, and that's that. But whether it's the best option or not, or statistically the best anyway, that doesn't matter to him, because he wants freedom. He was born into this world, so he deserves that freedom. He deserves to live. Because as I say, to Eren, freedom and living are synonyms. They are the same thing. So to him, he'd already made his choice. He wants to live, and therefore he has no choice. Soul or life. He chose his life. He will give up his soul, and he will commit mass genocide if he has to, which at this point he's going to. We just need to see how they end the story in the final chapters of the manga. He's chosen life, and weirdly enough, his friends are trying to stop him. They think it's the wrong way to do it, and yeah, it probably is, but he made his choice. He's not a villain. The rest of the world painted him as a villain and gave him no choice. He was so desperate to live that he had no choice, and it's incredible. Honestly, I feel like he's a character who's incredibly misunderstood through everything. He he's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy either. He's not. What he's doing is morally wrong. Um, but he knows that. It's not like he's, I don't know, Hitler, for example, who believes what he was doing was right. Eren Jaeger knows that what he's doing is wrong, unethical, and he shouldn't do it. But at the same time, he hasn't been given a choice. You can't hate him for it. And that's the brilliance behind the writing of Attack on Titan in general. No one's the bad guys, no one's the good guys. Are Marley the bad guys for oppressing the subjects on Paradise Island, who, by the way, had their minds wiped? So they didn't even know there was other people outside the walls. They just thought Titans had wiped out humanity and they were the last survivors. So is Marley entitled to do that because of the way the Eldians subjected the world in the past? But then are the Eldians inside the walls, who have done nothing wrong for then trying to find their freedom? It's and that's, I think, the other brilliance of Attack on Titan, is the fact that it's an allegory for war, in that in war, 9 times out of 10, no side is in the right, no side is necessarily in the wrong. It's all a matter of perspective, and that is Eren Jaeger to a T. It's a matter of perspective. It's a man who, from birth, yearned for freedom beyond the walls, knew there was more to life. There was a bit, even in season 1, actually, where he's sort of unconscious in his Titan form, and Armin's trying to get through to him. And Armin's like, even when you were really young, you wanted to go outside the walls. Why? Why did you want freedom so much? And the fire just swelling behind him, Eren screams, because it's my birthright. Freedom is what he's always wanted. Because he was born, he is special and he deserves freedom. Not he particularly special. Everyone is special because they are born, and they are born into freedom. Or born into the right to have freedom. He so thoroughly believes this. He's not right, he's not wrong, and that is the brilliance of Attack on Titan, the fact that is the whole show. Marley and Paradis, neither are right, neither are wrong. All the characters make choices. And I'll get to that more in a second, because I think my main analysis of Eren Jaeger is over. And I'm going to talk more about, I think, the allegory for war a bit. And by the look of the time, I'm going to have to go over Commander Irvin, Captain Levi, and some of just the pure action in a part 2, which will be You Have Failed Some More on Saturday, because I am running out of time. But for now, we are going to mention the sponsor for the week, which, as it normally is, but hasn't been for a while because I've been on a very long hiatus, is a Schmerp who does brilliant commissions for kingseyes.life. Do go check him out in the store. He does brilliant work. He did the rebranding for Sigil, and did the new logo and everything. He really is brilliant and will get you some good quality work. So if you ever need any sort of media commissions, do go check him out on the website. And I might as well plug my Twitter at this point as well. So you can follow the show at YouHaveFailedSV on Twitter, to keep up to date with the show and find out when the new episodes are up, what they're going to be on, and just, interact with me if you want to. You can also follow me directly as the host at Vader Saiyan on Twitter, because some arsehole who hasn't tweeted since 2013 still at SaiyanVader, but it's fine, I'm not salty. And follow me, keep up with my life. I tweet about all the many fandoms that I'm interested in and love. And also on there are the links to my Discord server, which is also on kingseyes.life, actually, where you can meet like-minded people, discuss your favourite TV shows, films, video games, give me ideas for new shows, and eventually I'll start, doing games and stuff. I'm thinking of doing a server Among Us game at some point, hopefully. I'm getting it back, chaotic Yu-Gi-Oh! Play games with me and stuff like that, or play other people on the server at games like that, and just community interaction. And say the best thing is maybe suggest new topics for me to talk about in the show, or even be on the show yourself is not a bad idea. But with that out of the way, we'll get back to the episode. And Attack on Titan, an allegory for war, right? No side is right, no side is wrong, and the moral dilemmas that the characters get put through time after time is so incredible. And now I mentioned it, I'll probably also talk more about Reiner next episode as well, because he is another fantastic character. As I say, he's sort of the opposite to Eren. Two sides, same coin. And you do really feel sorry for Reiner. I'll mention him next time. Because he is also fantastic. The thing is with Attack on Titan, there's so much to fucking talk about because it's so fucking good. Honestly, I love it. Attack on Titan's fantastic. It's best TV show I've ever watched. 100%. Just is. So if you go to season 3, for example, the start of it, where sort of they're fighting against the fake royal family and the fake government who are trying to maintain their power and keep everyone in the dark and stop them from learning the truth of what really happened, yada yada yada. The normal political stuff. I say that as if it's not executed well. It's executed fantastically, but I'm not going to go into the whole political spectrum of it right now. But it's when the scouts are posed with, they're the only ones sort of fighting for the truth at this point, and they're put in a tough situation where the military police are trying to kill them. They've developed new anti-personnel gear on the ODM gear, so instead of having swords, it's now got guns. So obviously swords are effective at killing titans, guns aren't, but guns are more effective at killing people because you can do it from range. And the scouts are basically forced to have to kill fellow soldiers in the military police regiment and unit to survive and save Eren and save Historia and uncover the truth of the walls and the king and what's really going on here. And yeah, it's a bit mental when you first see Captain Levi. Seeing one of the scouts get shot in the head by Kenny, not that extreme. You've seen many gruesome deaths, but the first time you actually see Captain Levi, who's obviously a hero, who's killed loads of titans, but titans are, they're just mindless beasts at this point. You don't really know that they're Eldians who have been transformed into titans on Marley as punishment for a crime they've committed. So they've been banished as mindless beasts for the rest of their life and then dumped on Paradise Island to keep the other Eldians inside the walls. It's quite an effective system Marley has going. But yeah, so cutting through titans isn't, you don't care. But the first time you see Captain Levi just blatantly fucking... I'm pretty sure the first guy he kills, he uses the ODM gear to just harpoon him in the face and then drag him to him. So he's basically killed him anyway because he's just put a fucking grappling hook through this guy's eye. And then he uses him as a body shield as the other anti-personnel people start shooting at Levi. So he uses this dead guy to take all the bullets, throws it, and then just goes up and just slashes one of them in the stomach with his blades. And then he just goes on he just goes around killing people. And obviously the other scouts and have to kill or be killed. And sort of once again, the morals are put into place of, is this right? Is this wrong? And none of them know if what they're doing is the right course of action. Especially Commander Irvin. And as I say, I was talking about him more next sort of the bonus episode. But Commander Irvin is fantastic because he never knows if what he's doing is the right thing, especially in this military coup he's trying to stage to restore the power where it should be away from a corrupt government, which is to Historia, the true heir to the throne. As Queen of the Walls. And his drive is, he even says multiple times, and maybe shouldn't be getting into his character analysis here when I plan on doing more on him and his fantastic speeches, the bonus episode. He sort of says, countless times he probably should have died, he probably should have lost, but he didn't, and he's taken a gamble. He doesn't know if removing the corrupt government and telling the people the truth is actually what's best. Is them knowing what's really going on for the best. In hindsight, maybe no, because it's led to Eren wanting to commit a genocide. But then, likewise, Paradis would have been wiped out anyway, because Marley was ready to launch their final strike and wipe out the Eldians once and for all. So, yeah, but, and the whole moral dilemma of, even when there's infighting, are they on the right side? Are they not? I think ultimately they were, because they would have been wiped out anyway. And I think Eren at this point probably would have gone through with the rumbling. I don't know if he would have been able to find a way, but I don't know. And that's the brilliance. Even I, as an audience member, don't know who was in the right. Did they make the right decision? I don't really know. That's the brilliance. Even as an audience member, you don't fully know if they've done the right thing. I think removing a corrupt government, yes, was the right thing. But then Eren's obviously taken it his own way. He's seen the rumbling. That's the bit, I don't know if the bit at the end of season 3 when he kisses Historia's hand, that bit where he starts freaking out and he sees a flashback, you don't see all of what he sees, and what you don't see is the fact that he sees the rumbling. Essentially, he sees what's coming, and that's why he changes from that point onwards. He knows from that point when he kisses Historia's hand after basically receiving that Medal of Honor, he knows that what he has to do. He's seen the future at that point through the Attack Titan. He has seen what he is destined to do, and so the whole morals of who's right, who's wrong, is incredible. Because whether it's the Marley versus Eldian thing, whether it's just the infighting between the scouts and everything, not the scouts and the military police, who was right, who was wrong, and that's the impressive thing Isayama does here. He shows you that in war, no one's right, no one's wrong, no one's the good guys, no one's necessarily the bad guys. Everyone is fighting for their own freedom. Marley is fighting to save the world from the devils of Paradise Island. Paradise is fighting for their own survival and freedom because the people currently here have done nothing wrong. Their ancestors did, but they didn't. They didn't know that at the time, obviously. And it's so nuanced, and just certain moments that are paid off years down the line. So the Titan that killed Eren's mum, you think nothing of it. It comes back and it kills Hannes in front of Eren again. That's another close friend of his, or someone, he respected and grew up slightly like a uncle figure almost, I suppose. It's killed by the Smiling Titan. Then it's revealed in season 3 that the Smiling Titan is actually the first wife of his dad from when his dad lived on Marley. So his dad's old wife, who was turned into a Titan after being caught trying to fight for Eldian restoration, trying to, free the Eldians from oppression on Marley, gets turned into a Titan. That's the Titan that then eats Eren's dad Grisha's next wife, which is Eren's mum. And that is so fucked up, but such a payoff after so long. You're like, what's the Smiling Titan? Why does she look different? What's going on here? And you find out that she is slightly significant. And obviously, and that's then the mother of Eren's half-brother Zeke, who is the Beast Titan, who gets his ass handed to him by Captain Levi, because Captain Levi is the most badass guy ever. He's like Seto Kaiba if Seto Kaiba didn't play card games that went around slicing the necks of Titans. But less of an asshole to other people, but just as badass, because Captain Levi is just the coolest guy around. And doesn't look as old as he is. He's 34 years old. He doesn't look it. I know he's quite short, but he doesn't. You wouldn't know. Is that you think like mid 20s maybe, whatever. No, 34. Yeah, he's looking good for his age. Very sprightly as well. Fucking Ackerman genes, but that's because the Ackermans are experiments, aren't they? They basically infused Titan DNA essentially into humans whilst keeping them in human form, which gave them sort of superhuman reflexes, speed and strength, which led to Mikasa and Levi, who are both Ackermans as it turns out, being absolutely fucking killing machines. Yeah, they're great. Also, just the costumes are great. I've got one of the Scouts Regiment Survey Corps jackets. They look great. The Wings of Freedom are brilliant. The Wings of Freedom, I think, are something we need in real life. A symbol of wanting to know more, learn more, that yearning for freedom. It's brilliant. And the Wings of Freedom, I think, it's something we need in real life as a symbol to, always keep fighting, always there's always something more you can achieve it, to learn more, to figure out more, to learn the truth of the world. It's brilliant. It also brings me to the use of birds. The use of birds in the show are fantastic. Obviously, once again, the Wings of Freedom. Birds represent freedom, and it's very interesting when you look at the bird imagery and certain shots that show you birds flying by and everything. Like the opening shot has birds flying slow-mo before you see the Colossal Titan. And actually, weirdly, is the first time the Armored Titan and the Attack Titan get into a fight. You actually see as the Armored Titan makes a charge, he actually runs past some birds who go in slow motion, and maybe that was just to show how fast he was going, but you could also interpret that as, he's trying to stop freedom at this point. He's charging past it. Maybe he's breaking for his own freedom. Who really knows at this point? It's so intense, and the bird imagery is fantastic, which is why in the fourth opening, right, I know obviously season 4 is quite chilling anyway, and I've gone into why, so sorry about that, spoilers. When in the opening, My War, you see loads of birds falling from the sky. They look like they've been shot out of the sky and they're all dying. It's like, holy fuck, that is a symbol of freedom just crumbling and falling away. Also, I must say, just quickly before the end, the change in tone from the first 4 openings to the 5th one is insane. So you've got obviously going, I can't think of the names of them, but you've got the first opening, do 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 Jaeger, that one, right? You got that one, then you've got the Wings of Freedom, which I know that one's the next one's called Wings of Freedom. It's do 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 Gloria, do 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 do. Also, I don't speak Japanese. Then you got the third one, which is my favourite one. I know the first one's, everyone loves the first one, and I do, but I just love Sasage. It's brilliant. Sasage-yo, Sasage-yo, Shinzo wa Sasage-yo, do 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 do. It's brilliant, right? But sorry, I'm not going to sing all of them. I don't really like the fourth one too much, but that's whatever. Anyway, so yeah, you go from like all these quite patriotic but uplifting, and we're gonna take them on, even though the first one's got quite dark meaning, because it's all about being the hunters going after the prey. And actually, when you listen to the first opening and then the third one, so that's Jaeger and Sasage-yo, when you listen to or look at what the lyrics are in English, you realise how much they actually foreshadow what's to come. So the first one, becoming the hunter, this is the moment for war, the crimson arrow, flying. That's the first one. And Sasage, there are lines like, I'll choke the devil with my own bare hands, and I'll fight for freedom. It's talking about taking down your enemy. You'll notice it's always very vague. It never specifies Titans. And that's in wait for the big reveal that the Titans aren't actually the enemies. There are enemies beyond the ocean. And that is where I definitely knew what was going to be happening in season 4. So obviously all through season 1 and 2, I had feelings. I knew where Eren was going. Then you get to season 3. The end of season 3, they finally kill all the Titans on the island, and they're free from that. And they go and find the ocean on the outside of the island. And everyone's so happy. They've never seen this before. It's so cool. There's just an expanse of water they can't see the end of. But then there's Eren, who says, but over there are enemies. And he says, if we kill all our enemies over there, will we finally be free? And that line is definitely, obviously at this point, he's seen the rumbling. He knows what he has to do. But his questioning of that, realising that, he's found the outside world he always wanted to find, but he knows that just over the ocean, there are people willing to take that freedom away from him again. Because actually, that's another line I forgot to mention earlier. There's a line where he actually goes, if anyone tries to take my freedom away, I'll take it away from them. It's something along those lines, and it's basically put over, I think, him killing someone when he was young. I think it was when he was saving Mikasa from a kid. It's sort of put over that scene. And that, once again, is very telling of how he views life and freedom as the same thing. But, he knows he won't be free until the people that are trying to take away his freedom are dead. So, once again, when you interchange freedom and life, people are trying to take his life. He can't live until they're dead, because they're constantly trying to take it from him. And that's when I knew definitely Eren was going to go down a genocidal route, and obviously I ended up being correct, which is horrifying. I predicted quite a lot of things as well. The female Titan, I worked out who that was. I worked out that from the moment I saw Eren come out the back of a Titan's neck, I knew that that's because that's where the person was in a Titan, and that's why the nape was their weakness. Because that's where the human would be if they were a Titan shifter. I predict quite a few things, but yeah, Eren and his need for freedom, and that end of season 3 was very chilling. But yeah, the switch. I've completely sidetracked myself. But then yeah, so the shift from those 2 songs, which, don't get me wrong, very patriotic and uplifting, and yeah, let's go, we can do this, we can fight off the enemy. But then when you actually translate it and you listen to what it says, it very much is actually about Marley the whole time and not the Titans, which is very clever writing in the lyrics. The fact that you think, oh no, it is the Titans, and you re-listen years later and you're like there are English translated versions online. I recommend listening to them because you can obviously hear it to the beat, but still understand what's being said. You realize, oh shit, that's clever. Anyway, but My War, the title for the 4th season, which is the 6th opening, it's so chilling. It sounds like something Nazis would march to, and it really shows the shift in tone from a clear-cut war to this is very morally ambiguous. No one's in the right, and shit's about to go down. People are going to be killed here. And it's very chilling and very well written, but I'm rambling enough. I'm definitely doing a bonus episode on this. Attack on Titan, my fucking god, you have not failed. You are the most beautiful, well-written show I've ever watched in my entire life, and I love you so much. You are fantastic, and I'm glad I finally decided to watch you last year because I found out the 4th season was coming out. And I'm sort of glad I waited to sort of binge watch it because I could enjoy it all at once, except for the 4th season, which, yeah, now I've read ahead, which is why I definitely waited because I would have been reading ahead for years. Honestly, I love it. It's fantastic. I would definitely have a bonus episode because I fucking love Attack on Titan so much. And I will talk about Commander Irvin, Levi, probably Reiner. If I don't do it in a bonus episode, I might just do it in a regular episode of Viewer Failed. It depends when I next get a chance to record. Been very busy despite being in lockdown, which is quite weird. But yeah, I would definitely follow up on this with either a Viewer Failed some more or just another Viewer Failed because Attack on Titan is fucking amazing, and the world needs to know that. So thank you all so much for listening, and I'm glad to be back. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and speak to you next time.